I will finish what you've started.
What is up, people of the internet? It's your boy Set Free coming to you today with a Star Wars Force Awakens, I guess you would call it spoiler and prediction for episode 7, The Force Awakens. I have been just waiting for this movie since they announced it and really been waiting for an episode 7 decades, so it's awesome that it's finally here. We're about a week away, and I figured I'd make a video just with some cool predictions of what I think we're going to see in The Force Awakens, and possibly some spoilers. Now, J.J. Abrams, amazing director that he is, he said he wasn't going to go off of the EU, which is the expanded universe, but I do think that he took some inspiration from the books, and I'm going to go ahead and predict those things right now. So I'm going to go into the top 10 reasons and or predictions for The Force Awakens. So if you guys are not into spoilers, you guys don't want to hear any of this, go ahead and just turn it off right now. Run out of the room, whatever you guys need to do. I'm going to go through it right now and see how many by the time the premiere comes out that I actually do get right. It'd be kind of awesome to see. Number 1, let's see. Luke is going to be ObiWan. And the reason why I say that is ObiWan in the original movies trained Luke. Now, I believe Luke is going to do that for somebody else. And who that person is, I'll go ahead and get into that in a second. But what I do think is Obi-Wan was like that in the prequels. So I think they're just going to kind of continue off of what they did before, and not necessarily repeat, but there has to be somebody to train somebody new in the Force. So that's number 1. Number 2, Rey is going to be that next Jedi. I do honestly believe that they're going to use a female character. Finally, there was only like 2 female characters in the original trilogy. So I do believe that they're going to fill that void. And I think it's smart on Disney's part, because for me, I think that there wasn't enough female characters, major characters, in the Star Wars trilogy and all the rest of the stuff that they have put out. Now, for me, it's smart on Disney's part because they're going to be able to bring in a new audience of girls. And I think that they're marketing towards that, and even with Captain Phasma being a woman as well, I think that they're trying to, Disney's just smart, They really do market towards women and girls, so I think that this is just, it's smart business, so to speak. And number 3, Rey's staff is going to be a weapon of some sort. Now, we've seen in the trailers that she uses it like a staff, but I think that maybe, and this is my prediction, I might be going a little far, but I think that it's got some kind of weapon inside of it, whether it's, I don't know, a lightsaber or a blaster. But what I do think is that she ends up with Anakin's saber, regardless of. That's for sure. I don't know how she ends up. We see Finn wielding it around, but I think that ends up being her weapon. And the reason for that is... we'll get into that in the next couple of numbers that I go through, but I just think that there's got to be a weapon that she wields, and I think that staff, I'm just making a guess and a prediction that it's some type of weapon, but either way, she does end up with Anakin's saber. Number 4, Han and Leia have kids. Now, I understand, like I said before, that the expanded universe wasn't canon, and there's going to be a lot of things that I believe that they're going to pull from, and I think this is one of them. I think that Han and Leia get married, and they do indeed have kids. They're not showing who that is right now, but I believe it's kind of like how Anakin, after he turned into Vader, Padme passed away, and they had to hide the kids. So I think it's kind of something like that, where they don't have the kids around them because maybe they've had to hide them. I don't know, but that's what I believe. And number 5. Okay, if you don't like spoilers, here's one of the big ones. This is my prediction. Rey and Kylo are brother and sister, or sister and brother. The reason why I think that is because I do believe JJ, again, took inspiration from the expanded universe, and Leia and Han had twins. And now what I do think is that, and I don't know whether there's anything with Rey and Ren, because I know that they said the Knights of Ren, and that Kylo Ren wasn't really his name. So, but I do think maybe his name isn't Kylo Ren, and maybe it is Ren, or Ren is in his name. So I do think that just makes sense to me, because the twins that were in the Expanded Universe books played a big role in that. So I do think that they did take inspiration from that, and that they are brother and sister. To me, that would just make so much sense in the dark versus light, because Luke, it was really hard for him to face Vader because he was family. That was his father. So I think, Rey will have the same kind of conflict in trying to face Kylo. And they did say Kylo is not a bad guy. He believes what he's doing is right. So his intentions are not placed in the right spot. So that would be my prediction for that one. That's a big one. But I do honestly believe that that's what it is. Number 6. This one's kind of a long shot, maybe mid-court. But I think that Finn is Lando's son. And not just because he's like the only black character in the, basically in the original trilogy. But I do think that it would make sense, because if Rey is Han's daughter, and Finn is Lando's son, it would kind of be like a reuniting of the families, I guess you could say. I mean, they would be able to go on new adventures, and you heard adventures that Lando went on and Han, but you never really got to see it in the movie. But they make it like they assume that they've been through a lot. They've known each other for a while. So I think that would kind of be cool to kind of, push that story along and have them have a connection to the old characters. I think that's important, that we have some connection to the old characters, because I don't think they'll be around, maybe a couple of them in episode 8, but not all of them. Number 7, okay, hold on. Let's take a break. Okay. Whoa. This is the big one. Ooh, I had to stand up and sit back down for this. Number 7, somebody dies. So turn it off if you guys listen to the first 6 and you're okay with that. But this one, I think Chewbacca dies. And the reason why I say that is, in the expanded universe book, again, I keep on going back to that, but I do think that they took a lot of inspiration from this, because they were amazing stories, is that he sacrifices his life for somebody. And the reason why I say that is, and don't take any offense to this, I just think that Chewbacca is an expendable character. It's either Chewbacca that dies or Han Solo, one of the two. But I don't think that, because I thought that at first, and what I think is, we see scenes in the trailer of Han embracing Leia and she's crying. I think that that's because they find out that Chewbacca died. Now, I also, you see Rey huddling over somebody or leaning over somebody, and she's crying too. And I think that Chewbacca saves her life at some point and sacrifices himself, because in the books that does happen. That ends up happening, and not in particular in that fashion, but he does sacrifice himself for the greater good of the mission. So I think that they're using that, and it would just, what better way for Chewbacca to go out than sacrifices himself for somebody like Rey, that would be, Han's daughter. So I do think that, and if it does happen, man, I'm going to probably just be tearing up in the theaters. I know a lot of people probably will, because he is one of my favorite characters, but I do think he's the easiest one to quote-unquote kill off. I don't really like that, but there is going to have to be a main character that does die to kind of give that emotional feel for the movie. Number 8, I think that C-3PO's new arm is a weaponized arm. And the reason why I say that is, we look at R2-D2, and he had, in the prequels, they showed that he could fly. We never knew that before. And then he had a couple of small little weapons that would come out. But C-3PO never had a defense mechanism. And I think that was kind of, not a flaw, but he never really had a way to defend himself in situations. So I do think, because if it was just his arm got cut off, they would probably just put the same type of arm back on, Wouldn't make any sense. So I think that it is a weaponized arm. I don't know whether it's a blaster or some kind of, tool or whatever, but I do think that that's the reason why he has that. That'll be my prediction for number 8. Number 9, and this is like probably a long shot, and I think that everybody's hoping this, or at least a large majority of people, but I think Boba Fett is in this movie. I really, really want him to be in this movie. If he is, I probably will do a backflip in the theater. I mean, literally. We've seen pictures of the Knights of Ren, and I believe in the trailer, on Kylo's right, if you're looking at the screen, it's our left-hand side. There's a figure on that side that looks kind of like Boba Fett. Now, I know that he originally died in Return of the Jedi, but everybody just fights that, because they say, well, he flew out, he's fine, he didn't die. Listen, I hope that just as much as everybody else hopes that, and I want that to be true. So I am going to make that prediction and hope and pray that he's actually in this movie, because that will be amazing. J.J. Abrams will forever be the most awesome person on the planet if he brings Boba Fett back in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. Maybe he is part of the Knights of Ren. I'm not 100% sure. I would hope that he's just in the movie. It would kind of be weird because he never was, you know, he's a bounty hunter, so he was never really part of a group. But he could use that. So I do hope that that's the case. And that would be my prediction for number 9. Number 10. Number 10. This movie will be the best Star Wars movie ever. Now, before you guys go ahead and start throwing darts at me, the reason why I say that, I've grown up watching Star Wars. I've probably watched the original trilogy hundreds of times, legitimately. And while I liked the prequels, I did not love them. They didn't have that masterpiece feel when you sit down and watch them. The acting was different. There was a lot of CGI, which I don't mind in some movies, but in Star Wars, it just felt a little bit different. I believe, especially J.J. Abrams has never really disappointed me, personally. There's been some movies that have been so-so, but he's never really disappointed as far as these type of movies go. That's my opinion. Some people don't like J.J. Abrams. I love his work. And I really do think that they couldn't have picked somebody better. I wish he was doing Episode 8 because I do believe, again, without sounding blasphemous, that this is going to be the best movie, Star Wars movie that we've ever had. And I just believe that it's bringing everything together. We've waited so long for this. And I think that just the look of the movie, the feel of the movie that I've seen already is already on point. And I think that the characters, if he is indeed going to the expanded universe and all these really neat stories to like pull from, I think it's just going to be an amazing movie. I don't think you can go wrong. I really don't. And I'm just happy we're getting another one. I'm so thrilled, and I am going to the ArcLight Cinema, the Dome, on Thursday. So the day that it comes out for showing, and I'm pumped. I cannot wait to see what predictions I have that I got right. I'm gonna go ahead and say I got like 7 out of 10 right. There's a few there that are really long shots. So it'll be fun to kind of look back on this and see whether, I got all of them right, or I got half of them, or none of them are right. So with that being said, I'm going to make it a review video after the movie comes out. So you guys go ahead and subscribe, check it out, because I'm going to go ahead and go through all the rest of the stuff and maybe some other predictions for future movies. But it's just, man, I'm so excited. It's just amazing. And Kylo Ren, I believe, is just going to be an amazing character. He's already one of my favorite characters. I know he has not really, I haven't seen him on screen yet, so to speak, but I'm going to go ahead and put my stamp on that one, that Kylo is going to be one of my new favorite characters. So with that being said, hope you guys liked the video. Go ahead and, like I said, subscribe. Check out my new future videos that are coming out. And I guess what is there left to say, but may the Force be with you. We'll see you guys at the movies.